The by-elections, which were going to use after the 2nd of April. So on the 3rd of April, we scheduled a press conference to also announce the fact that by that time we have won by-elections in Pongola Ward 12 and in Kwatukuza Ward 28. Those are the wards which we controversies is going to be making the press conference on the 3rd of April. So that is basically what we're up to. Okay. Yes.
I want to find out, has the ANC approached the MK and if they have, what is discussed in relation to the budget and the MK party willing to give seats to support the 0.5% community budget hike? And then is there a possibility of working with the ANC in the government?
So the ANC has not approached controversies to discuss the budget, so there is no such thing. I think even the representative of the ANC was saying that they raised it in the Chief Whip's Forum. So there's never been any bilateral engagement between controversies and the ANC on the budget process. Even if they were to approach the controversies, we were never going to agree on the increase of VAT even by 0.1%. We think that poor people are going to be the most affected by the increase of VAT. The rich people do not have price sensitivity. They buy anything for whatever price. But poor people are sensitive to just the little amount of money which they earn from otherwise very difficult revenue in many instances. So we're never going to agree, we're never going to even entertain an idea of discussing whether we must permit the increase of that as part of the budgeting options. There's several alternatives which our public representatives have presented, which should constitute the alternate to increasing the value-added tax in South Africa's budgeting framework. And I think that before the ANC approaches controversies, they should have made a public announcement already that there's not going to be any VAT increase. That is the only mandate which our members of parliament have in relation to the current budget is to reject it as long as it contains the increase on the value-added tax which is going to affect our people. So there's never going to be any discussion. We're not entertaining the idea of co-governing with the African National Congress, or co-governing within the government of national unity. You know that controversies is still challenging the legitimacy of the electoral outcomes of 2024. The outcomes of that might take us to govern. But also, if that doesn't happen, we are consolidating the ground so that come 2026 and 2029, controversies achieves a decisive victory in the elections. And that is what we're focusing on. We want to govern South Africa, and we will govern South Africa as controversies alone, without coalition with right-wing forces or former liberation movements that have sold out the agenda for real and true emancipation and freedom.
Sorry, administration. Floyd, I just wanted to find out, are you guys planning your shutdown, your march that you were supposed to be having regarding the budgets? And then also, do you have a comment on the expulsion of Ibrahim Rasool? Who do you think should be the next ambassador?
No, look, the press conference that is going to take place on Thursday, the 3rd of April, is going to talk to the variety of programs which controversies is going to engage in to oppose the increase of VAT as part of the budgeting proposals. Already our Gauteng province marched to the South African Reserve Bank, but also to the National Treasury 2 weeks ago to send a very strong message that we are opposed to VAT increase. And then the national leadership has already agreed with the principle that we must take that campaign at national level. And we're going to announce the series of activities and programs that we're going to engage in when we finish this national high command meeting. We'll announce that in the press conference with actual dates and what exactly is going to happen as part of the resisting the increase on it. Because we can't just discuss these issues in boardrooms. We must go to the ground and resist it with the majority of the people who are going to be affected by the increase on it. So that is basically how we're going to deal with these issues. I think the issue of who the South African government appoints as an ambassador to the United States is an issue of those who are in government now. Let them choose whoever they want to choose. It's not our issue. But what we have always been saying and we continue to say is that as things stand, South Africa needs to prioritize its relationships with the countries in the BRICS bloc, which is Brazil, Russia, India, and China, and the plus component of the United Arab Emirates, Federative Republic of Ethiopia, the Islamic Republic of Iran, Republic of Argentina, and all the other progressive countries in the world, but also must intensify intra-African trade that we take our goods and products to the African continent. This over-reliance and dependence on the American market is subjecting us to ridicule, is subjecting us to being treated like our children. So we must never prioritize the relationship with America because thus far it has treated us with disdain, and that is not the relationship that we can sustain. It's a neo-colonial relationship that treats us as if we do not exist, as if we're not an autonomous sovereign state. And it's not a relationship worth crying about or being concerned about. How do you want to trade with people who every day are going to threaten you about increasing tariffs and want to dictate what happens? Publicly mischaracterizing your domestic situations and even allegedly anyone who came to a meeting of Umkhonto weSizwe to express a view about any of its leaders. Not in this meeting, not in any provincial meeting. There's never been anyone who came to say that the national chairperson, deputy chair, secretary general is not suitable. The people who are trying to say that are faceless, cowards, who have never said that in any meeting of Umkhonto weSizwe. As far as we're concerned, we've got a solid and united leadership that is reading from the same hymn book. We are on the same agenda of consolidating the structures of the organization. There's robust engagements internally in terms of the direction of the organization. It happens in that way when the organization is growing that there will be different perspectives on the pace, on the form and content of its growth. But the organization is growing and we are not aware of any dissenting voices. And of course, if there are dissenting voices, we'll listen to them because we're an organization that is transparent and engages with all views that are brought to our attention. But thus far, there is no one who has got a name and surname and an ID number who has come to say that they've got concerns about the direction of the organization. We don't know anyone of that nature.
What about
no one.
What about the business of Assembly that is?
I think the issue of Mr. Duzile is handled elsewhere as part of the disciplinary issues, but there's never been any member of Umkhonto weSizwe who came to a formal structure of Umkhonto weSizwe at any meeting to express any view about the leadership direction of Umkhonto weSizwe. That is the absolute fact. So there is nowhere in the minutes of Umkhonto weSizwe or even in the records of who says what, where, where. There's never been anyone who raised the concerns about the direction of the organization in the manner that it is. And if they raise those issues, we'll then get to listen to them and then be able to clarify as to just how do we move forward. But otherwise, we're not concerned about all those issues. What our concern is now is to establish presence in all the voting districts, in all the wards, in all the municipalities, in all the districts, and then prepare for victory in the upcoming election.